Okay, so let's get started. Obviously, the EMOS import is available via this new EMOS import tab. And once that loads, it's a two-step process. Obviously, we're just going to go and find our EMOS file and then click the upload button. So I've got a sample file here that we've created for Brooke Flinders. I'm going to click upload on this one. Here we go. Okay, so once the EMOS is imported, we are taken straight to the new application that's been created. So beforehand, we were obviously creating accounts, applications, loans, all of that information manually. Now all we're doing is importing that EMOS file, and we come straight to the new application. So what it's capturing here is it's giving the application a name and it's associating an account. So what it actually does is goes away and makes the person accounts for each individual relating to that EMOS file. So that's whether they're an applicant or a guarantor. And in this case, it's actually a joint application. So previously, I think in the training that I've conducted with everyone, I've been suggesting that we make a joint account and link the applications to those. With the way that the EMOS feature is working, it is actually assigning a primary account holder, and then it's linking the other accounts that it creates in these contact roles. So from this section, we can see who the applicants are and who any guarantors are. So here, Brooke's been marked as an applicant and she's been ticked as the primary applicant, and that's why she's linked at the top. And then another applicant, so the joint applicant here is Ian, and we've got a guarantor of Neville. So that's slightly different to how we were doing it before, but it's all happening automatically for us, and it is creating the individual account. So I can click through here and look at Ian, and he's created there with all of his personal information as well. Just going back to that application. Okay, so with the way that we've got those accounts being created, is that causing any issues for anybody, or does anyone have any questions around that?
The only thing that I've noticed... Oh, you go, Jay. Oh, who's going to go first? I'll go first. The only thing that me and David have noticed is that, previously when we created an application, and if there was a second person linked, we would link that person as a partner.
Yes.
And then that application would also show up under the application section.
Yes.
But now that's not there, so it's just all in this contact section now, is it?
Yeah. So actually, it is still associating the individuals as partners. So we've got on the application, if you guys can see that, if I scroll down, we've got the contact roles. So this is where, Janet, you were saying before we were using partner roles. So we still are using partner roles. But we've taken that off of the application page. So there is a related list for partner roles still that you can add on to this page layout when you're editing page layouts, and I can talk to you about how to do that if you like. But essentially, it's just going to end up giving you duplicated information, which is why we've said, well, on the application, we've got the applicants and guarantors described as contact roles. So really, it's their place within that application. And then on the individual accounts, which if you click on Brooke's account here, we're using partner roles to describe the relationships. So on the account, so this is Brooke's account, there is also the contact roles related list available for this page, but we've taken it off. So we're using the partners list on an account, and we're using the contact roles list on applications. So when we're looking here at Brooke's account, we can see the partners of Ian and Neville, that Ian is her spouse and Neville is a related customer to her. Whereas on the application, we can see who the people are and how they relate to the application rather than how they relate to each other.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
the only thing is you see how if we go into see how the application is actually showing in the application section of Brooke.
Yes.
I think if we go into Ian, the application doesn't show anywhere under his profile.
Okay, so because it's down here actually in the application contact roles, because it's because Brooke's marked as the primary contact. So whoever's linked up on that application as the primary contact, that link, and this is a standard Salesforce functionality, that link, that field automatically creates a record here. Because only one account can be listed there, it can't then link in to that application directly here, and that's where we're using these contact roles. Potentially, let me just click on Brooke and see maybe the application contact roles one is better to use. Yeah, so see for Brooke, it appears in here for her. So essentially we could probably use this application contact roles list and get rid of that one, and everyone has a value in that. So that's something that we could talk about. We'll give out some instructions on how to do that. Yeah, and get it all set up for everyone so that it makes a bit more sense. Oh. Yeah, that'll be an easier way to do it actually.
Oh, I see.
Are you understanding that, Janet? So basically we're saying let's get rid of this applications related list and just bring this one up to the top and just use this one for everybody, because this one always has that application in everyone, for everyone that's linked to it. And we could rename that. We could give that a different name if we wanted to as well. Yeah. All right. So.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good.
While we're on Brooke, let's talk about what fields are being completed by that EMOS for the individuals. I mean, the EMOS files do contain quite a lot of information that we don't have fields for in the existing solution in Salesforce, and so we've really just mapped data to fields that we have and that were easy and made sense to map. There were some conflicting information. So, for example, the employment status information that you have in the EMOS files, you seem to have across a couple of fields where we only have one field, so it didn't quite make sense to map it at this point. So if, for example, in this case, we've got Brooke listed as working at Flinders Machinery and it hasn't given an employment status. The example problem would be that if she's self-employed, you may have on your end in one field that she's full-time employed and that she's self-employed. So we don't have that secondary level of information to capture that exactly. And you may have that it's, I guess what we're using here is PAYG does reflect full-time or part-time employment. So there's just a couple of breakdowns there that we weren't able to directly map, and so we have left that one for the time being, and we're happy to discuss that for a future update. But at the moment what we are capturing is obviously the person's name, their middle name, contact details and email, as well as their date of birth, marital status and address information. So all of that's in the EMOS file. You're entering it there once and then it comes across here, so you're not having to double enter that. Have you noticed any problems at all with any of that information mapping across, or is there something that you would like to see coming across into new Salesforce fields potentially?
I think Janet and I had a few things that we jotted down while we were kind of doing it through, but we'll just send it across.
Send that across separately. Yeah.
I think we've got extra fields. Yeah.
Yeah, I think from memory you guys did have some custom fields that were already existing, so that may cause cause some other questions to occur. All right.
Oh yeah, would we be able to get our additional fields matched, like the driver's license number and state, and I think the other one we had was like employment start date, employer address.
Yeah. What would actually end up happening is if we were to map those fields, we would need to create new versions of those fields. So essentially it would be in the next update we would create new versions of those fields. They have to be part of the package for the package to be able to update them. So it wouldn't be able to update to your custom ones, but we would be able to figure out something where we could copy your existing records across to those. It's definitely possible. It'll just be something that's going to need a bit more adjustment.
Yeah, okay, sure.
So if we come back to the application, let's have a bit more of a look at what we've got happening here. So one of the things you would have noticed, and I know Janet you've said before, is that we've got the new money amount field now. So what's happening is previously we only had the one amount field for the application and the loans, and we were calculating commissions based on that total amount. But from the feedback that we've had from the brokers, it's that commission only gets paid on new money amounts of a loan if somebody's refinancing, etc. And so that's why we've introduced this new money amount field, and commission now gets calculated based on this. So if the values are the same, that's fine. Just make sure that you're putting that value into both of the fields. Never leave this new money amount field blank, because otherwise your commission amounts won't calculate. In terms of the update, because you guys were already using the system based on just a total amount field, what we've done for people who have updated is copied their existing total amount field values over to this new money amount field. And that's where, Janet, you were saying if in fact you do need to record that the new money amount was different to the total loan amount, you do need to manually go back through and adjust those.
Yeah.
Yeah. What we've got happening is when we import EMOS files, the application gets created with a default stage of submitted and a submitted date of the date of the import. So that's today's date. We've just imported this one. You can manually adjust these. The reason we've got it happening that way is that most likely you're going to import this the day that you've submitted it. If you're wanting to import old records via the EMOS feature, you can do so, but you'll just need to make sure that you then come in and change the stage and the relevant dates as needed, because if you're importing an EMOS file for something that has since settled, this isn't going to be correct. So if you're wanting to import old data, just make sure that you're coming back and updating it with all of the right dates and stage information. This expected settlement date is actually pulling from within the EMOS file. And then these commission amounts are being calculated. On the application page, these are actually totaling up the related loan records. So the loan record gets created as part of the import as well. And this is down here. So for each product that's in the EMOS file or the application, a separate loan record will get created and linked to the application in Salesforce. So in the case of split loans, for example, you would have 2 loans to the application. This test file here only has the 1 loan. The calculations for commission are happening on the actual loan record here, and it's going by new commission rate fields that we've got added on the rate manager page. So we'll go and have a look at those shortly. But basically it's going to multiply the new money amount by your standard upfront commission rate, or if it's an equity manager product, it will multiply it by the equity manager commission rate. And then we've considered in this default commissions of $200. So if the upfront commission is calculated at less than $200, it will apply a default commission of $200, and it will check this checkbox so you know that it has been applied at the default amount. Likewise, we were told about bonus commission rates, so where you write more than $3.5 million of loans in any one month, all of your loans for that month will then be recalculated with the commissions at the bonus commission rate. And the other thing that we can see on here, which is a new field, is the MIP commission. So this gets calculated based on where you have linked an MIP referrer to your application. So what I'm going to do is just open up this application in a new tab, and we'll go and link a referrer to that. So we don't have referrer information in the EMOS file, so we need to manually add these in. So I've got a referrer account for this real estate, Australian real estate. And on that account, there's a checkbox, which is a new field. It just says MIP. That's on all of the account pages now. And you just need to check that if that account is for an MIP. And then when you link that MIP as a referrer, MIP commission will then be calculated for all relating loans. So if I come back over here and refresh our loan, now that it's got an MIP linked, we'll see some MIP commission being calculated here. And then what it does, so you know how much commission you're actually going to get out of this, is it tells you the total commission minus the MIP commission, and that gives you this net upfront commission down the bottom, which is $465. So these commission calculations happen for all of your loans, not just ones that happen by the EMOS import. But just since we're looking at this loan that's been created via the import, it makes sense to talk about it here. What you'll notice is on the loan record, there is no loan account number here. Obviously, at the point of the EMOS file or the application submission, you don't have that loan account number, and neither do we have the application number. So these need to be added in manually by you once you have that information. So it may be a matter of submitting that EMOS file and then importing it and then writing in the application number. It's really important that you do come back and add the application numbers in, because that field is what is used to map your trail imports. So if you try and import trails for a whole bunch of these applications you've created via EMOS and you haven't put the application numbers in, they won't work. So make sure you do come back and add the application number in, and the loan account number. As soon as you have that information, you can come and add that in as well. When we're looking at the loan, our interest rates for the loan are coming from the Rate Manager page. That hasn't changed. So we've got our standard variable, Simplicity Plus and Equity Manager rates coming from that Rate Manager page. What's happening though is the rate discount and fixed rate amounts obviously are on a case-by-case basis, and these need to be manually entered as well. We couldn't see these in the EMOS file anywhere, so we just need to come in and add these in. If there is a discounted rate, we'll add that in, and if there is a fixed rate, we'll add that in. So we've obviously got the product information has imported, so that's all fine. So EMOS, it's creating the applications, it's creating the accounts, it's creating the loans, and what it's also doing is if we scroll down on this loan, it's creating property and security records. So down here we can see there's 2 properties being held as security against this loan, and we can click onto each of these. I'll open them up in some new tabs. So we were already using properties and securities beforehand, but what we're now also doing as part of this update is property ownerships. And what the property ownerships allows us to do is have multiple owners of a property. Whereas before, when we look at the property page, we just had one owner field. So Neville. So in this property, when we're looking at it, Neville is the owner. And when we look at the property ownerships, there's only one, and it's for Neville. On the other property, we actually have 2 owners. So Brooke and Ian both own this property. But we would only, before the update, be able to record one of those as the owner. Now we can add multiple ones using this property ownerships list. And to make it really easy, instead of having to create the property record and then the property ownerships, we've created a Visualforce page where if I edit this page or if we try and create a new property record, we can do all of this at once. So we can create the property information here, address, value, the fields that we had before, but we can then link existing account records as owners to that property. We can add multiple rows. If we wanted to add 5 more rows and say we've got a lot of owners of this property, we can do that all in the one spot. So it's really quite simple, really. It's just being able to link those additional accounts as owners. What you can probably see in the background here, which you may not have seen on your own pages as yet, is this additional property information section. And you can see here I've got my custom field. What this is about is allowing you to be able to add your own custom fields to this page if you need to. At the top of this page, we've got our package fields, so the fields that are standard as part of the package. But if you've created your own custom fields for the property record, you wouldn't be able to see them up here because this is all coded in. It's not a standard property page. It is a Visualforce page which has been coded specifically for this package. So to allow you to be able to add your fields onto this page, we've created this. It's called a field set. So I've actually created instructions on how to use this and added it in the user guide. So there's an up-to-date user guide now available for everyone via their homepage link if we come over to here, click on the home page, I think everybody's aware that we have this link down here. Oh, we don't have it in our test org, but basically in this custom link section, we have a link to the user guide, and that downloads it for you because it's quite a big file. That is now up to date with these new features, and it has a section on adding custom fields to the property management page. So you can add any of your fields in here and have them available. I think, Janet, you guys had some fields, custom fields for property management. So you can add those in, and I'm happy to help you to do that as well. Is there any questions around the
I have
property
one question
owners?
with this one.
Yeah.
You know, when you're looking at the property under the actual person account,
Yes.
it just comes up with the property ownership number. Is there any way for it to say, like, you know, like the name here where it says property and then a short form of the address?
Yeah, I think what you're talking about is the related list, and they are customizable. So because you guys, basically the way Salesforce works is the related lists are kind of a standard feature. The update that you guys have installed, it forces new fields to come across, but changes to standard features, it doesn't happen automatically for you, so you need to come in and adjust them. If we look at Brooks, I'll tell you what I'm talking about, and we can change it together in this test org, and then hopefully you'll know how to do it for your own. But what we're talking about is this property list down here. So I think I've already added some to mine. So property ownerships, you can change what information shows in these by going to this edit layout link.
Oh, it says the name there. Yeah.
Oh,
Just
cool.
loading.
Yeah, I didn't. I think ours doesn't say the name there, so that's good.
Yeah. So you just need to edit them. So when we come into this edit layout, we go to the related list section, and it brings us down here. If we just scroll, and using this little tool icon, we can then choose whatever values we want to show in there. So I've added the name, status, and value, but basically you scroll through your available fields on this side, and then you select them and drag them over to there, and you can arrange them in whatever order you want. So if we just add the state there and click OK, and that's how you control what information showing on those. And make sure you click the save button.
Perfect.
Yeah, so you'll be able to see that. Was that the only question around the property ownerships? Yep. Okay, cool. So when we look at these properties, we've got the property ownerships. Your custom fields will show on this standard property page. It's only when you're creating and editing that they're hidden unless you add them to that field set, which, as I said, there's instructions on how to do that in the user guide. Then it links to the ownerships, which you can see from the account, as we just saw. And then the securities are as they were before. It's just linking the property to the loan as security. So that side of it's all working the same. So really the EMOS is just creating all of these records for us automatically. And then with the changes that we've made around commissions, we've got the commission amounts on the loans and applications calculating differently. And those are now using values on the rate manager page in this new section for commission rates. So before, all we had on this page was the interest rates, the variable rates, standard, simplicity plus, and equity manager. And now we've added into this these commission rates. It just means that you are able to change the rates if you need to. If they do change, you can change that yourself without us having to recode everything. And you can see and know what rates are being used to calculate those as well. So we talked through it before, but the upfront commission on a loan will be calculated at the new money amount times by this rate, unless you're entitled to upfront or bonus commission. So the upfront commission will be this, and the default, not upfront, sorry, default or bonus commission. So the default will be $200. And the MIP rate is this. Equity manager is down here. Equity manager is actually this percentage of the upfront standard. So it's not 75% of the total loan amount, it's the 75% of the upfront standard amount. Again, in the user guide, we've got a table of information in there that explains the commission rates to make sure that everybody is clear on it. But please let me know if you're finding any problems with the way that any of that calculates. We did some thorough testing on that and it all seems fine from our end. Part of,
the upfront standard should be 0.42%, I think.
It's 0.45 on our one, so it's fine.
Yeah, so you can
change. Is it 0.45 on ours? Okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. So you can change them. Sorry, David, go.
Quick question.
Yeah.
That's all right. When does the upfront bonus get calculated? Does that get calculated at the end of the month, or does that get calculated as soon as your total settled for the month hits 3.5 million?
That's actually a really good question. I would have thought that it was as soon as it hits 3.5 million that it recalculates them all, and then new loans are calculated at that bonus amount. But I will double check that for you just so that we can make sure it is all correct and everybody knows how it's working.
And then another question: if for whatever reason within an application or within a loan, you manually change the FUM amount, so the total amount of the commission that you would get.
Yeah.
Will the upfront bonus, how will that calculate it then?
Yeah.
If you were to manually change whatever amount?
Whenever the amounts are changed on the loans, the commissions get recalculated based on that amount. So whenever you change the amounts, it will recalculate the commission for the loan. On the other hand, when you change the commission rates here, that will only take effect for new loans. It won't take effect for the existing loans that are using these rates.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then what about if you update the actual commission amount? So if you manually go into the loan and then because before I wasn't sure at what the commission structure was.
Yes.
So I was updating the commission numbers myself. So now that it's done like this, will that default back to
So if we just come into a loan record here, so these are editable fields. I could type over this with 2000 and save it.
Yeah.
And that will take that 2000. Except if you change this loan amount, then it is going to force the calculation based on the amount, on the new money amount. Sorry. If you change this new money amount field, it will force the system to recalculate the commission. So it will assign a calculated rate to this. But you can manually override these at any time if you want to. And if, likewise, if it's recalculating at the bonus rate because you've reached $3.5 million, it will overwrite your manual import as well.
Yeah. Oh, okay, cool.
So are you saying that you want them to be overridden or you don't?
No, I just want to know in case.
Yeah. Okay, so on this one we've said that we've got MIP commission. So let's have a look at that MIP. So if we click back to the application where we've got them linked, we've got this new referrer field. So beforehand we didn't have a referrer on the applications. We only had referrers on clients, on leads and accounts. So if we click onto the referrer here, we will be able to see the MIP checkbox. So that actually shows on business and person accounts. So you just check that if they are an MIP referrer, and then it knows when this account is used as a referrer on an application to calculate that MIP commission. And down the bottom, we now have, we already had the leads referrals, the client referrals. Now we have this applications referrals list where we can see all of the applications they have referred to you listed as well. We've actually created some reports as part of the update. I don't know if anyone's had a look at those yet, but there's some new reports and there is one report that's been built on your referrers. So let me just have a look at ANZ mobile reports. Okay, so we've got this one, applications by referrer, this financial year. And there's a few others. So we've made some different versions of your trail commission report so that you can see it for the last month instead of the current month, and also for the current year, to give you some different options there. And so this applications by referrer is for this financial year. So it's grouping all the applications that have been referred by each referrer. So if we scroll down here, so Australian Real Estate, they have referred 4 applications to us, which are these 4 here. We've got a duplicate there. And they're an MIP, so it's telling us how much MIP commission they're getting out of that and how much commission we're getting out of it. And then we can see from this other one, there was no referrers on these, so there's no MIP. These are the commission amounts that we're getting on this. All of that type of information is in there for you. And if we look at one of the trail reports, trail commission this financial year. So this is one of the new ones as well. This is just a summary. It's going to show us month by month how much money we've got in commission. So the loan amount, the new money amount, the commission amount that we've received on that. Please have a bit of a play around with the reports and just send back your feedback. Let me know if they're working as you would expect, or if there's any fields that you don't need or would like added in on those, because it's something that I've kind of just gone with my best intuition on building those for you based on the feedback I've had during training sessions and follow-up sessions with people. But do let me know if you need any changes made to them. Let's talk about trails now. We've adjusted the trail import feature from how it was working before, and we've got new fields mapping. So if we go and import one of our trails, I've got a test file again, test trail, we'll just say it's for this month and hit upload. We've got our success message up the top, and that was always standard, but now we're also getting a success notification email. I'll just need to log into my emails to get that. And the notification email is giving us a breakdown of what's happened with that trail, which ones were successfully updated, which ones had problems, and any existing loans that are in our system that didn't have trails for one reason or another. So this is the notification that we'll get. So it's saying here, total trail records created was 7. They were all for existing loans. There's this other line that says new loans. So basically what that means is if you're importing a trail record where you've got the application in Salesforce, but you haven't yet created the loan, but it's mapping against that application number, it will automatically create the loan record for you and link the trail to that. So it will let you know if it's created any of those loans for you in the trail import process. And then here it's saying trail records that could not be created. In this case, there's 0. So what it would mean if the trail records could not be created is that you don't have your application numbers in Salesforce probably, or that you don't have the applications in Salesforce. And it shows you the details of those in the CSV. This CSV can be used to re-import. So beforehand, let's just open this up. So there's no records on this. Beforehand, if you were importing a trail file and you had an error message on some of your imports, so just say there was 20 records on that import file, 10 of them worked and 10 didn't, you would have to manually go and create those other 10 because re-importing the whole file would create duplicates of the ones that worked correctly. Now you'll get this file of ones that didn't work only, which will allow you to re-import these ones only without creating any duplicates of the ones that did work. So that's a really good little feature there. And then down here we've got our loans without trails. What this means is your loans that you've got recorded in Salesforce that you didn't have any trail records for. And because this is a test org, I've got quite a lot of loan records in the system that I don't have included on my test trail file. But you most likely wouldn't be having any of these, or if you do, you know that something's wrong. You know that you've got a loan that you need to mark as complete or it's not actually an active loan, or you need to take it up with head office and say, why haven't I got any trail commission for this loan? Why isn't it on my trail record? So, you could just potentially forward this on to them and say, what's happening with these loans? Has anyone tried this out yet?
No, not yet.
No, we haven't used the trail import feature at all. We've been waiting for the update because all the commissions weren't correct previously anyway. So yeah, we're probably gonna. I tested it previously, but not this new one. So
okay, yeah. So beforehand, what we had happening. Well, let me find my correct window. So let's have a look at our trails, and we'll talk about the changes that we've made there and that you've just raised around them not being correct. So the first change you will notice if you were using it is that we've changed the way these get named, because they were originally getting named with the date drawn and then the loan number, which means that every single trail record for each loan was going to have the same name. So we've changed that to be for the month and year that the trail's for, and then the loan number. But the other things we've done is created some new fields in here. So originally what we had happening was the trail commission amounts were actually just being calculated based on the balance in the trail file, whereas now these are new fields which are being mapped by the trail import. So the information from the trail import is what gets pushed through to here. So actually it's this field and a hidden field, and then what's happening for people that were already using the trail file import, it's saying, well, where those values haven't been imported, these new values haven't been imported, use the old calculation, but where these values have been imported, use these values to calculate it, basically, to make sure that people that were using it before don't have no values showing for them. And then the other information is all the same. We've just rearranged the page layouts a little bit now that we're seeing more about how they get used to make them fit in a bit better. Does anybody have any concerns around this?
No.
No, yeah. So they're just small changes. They're pretty straightforward. Yeah, once you get in and start importing some trails, let me know if you do notice any problems or have any questions with it.
Okay.
All right, well, that is basically all of the updates in short. So does anybody have any questions that they want to talk about around anything that was mentioned in the release notes or anything that we've talked about today?
I've already emailed you, Emma. It's Jay here.
Okay, yes, Jay. Yep. So you want me to pick that up with you after our call? I'll have a look at your email and we can go through that together. Yep, sure. Janet and David, did you have anything that you wanted to discuss?
No, I think you covered everything. We've just got just a custom fields that we would like mapped if possible.
Yes,
but I think that was it. Yeah, that was the only other things we picked up, just a few fields, and now we've realised because they were custom, that's why
they were your custom ones. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. Well, we'll pick that up out of this meeting as well. We'll discuss that separately. All right. Well, thank you for all your time today, everybody. Brad, thanks for joining us. Did you have any questions about what we went through today?
No, but I appreciate the conducting that meeting, so thank you very much, Emma.
Not a problem. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to end this meeting. I will do some editing of the recording, distribute a final version of that so that everyone has it for their records and can refer back to it.
Perfect.
Lovely. Thanks, guys. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.